Coach Rod is live, full in effect. How y'all doing? I know it's kind of late, but I said I'm gonna get on here anyways, and a lot of people gonna catch the replay. I know if you're on the Central Time Zone, it's still kind of early. 9:38 is not too bad. You know, definitely if you in out west California, this is real good. It's about time for y'all to eat dinner, wind down and everything. But I want to get on here and talk about something that was just laid in my heart. Something that was dropped in my spirit. Um, well, I tell you, how y'all doing? How you doing, Rose? How you doing, Gwendolyn? Good to have y'all on. As soon as I get on live, my sciences start acting up. Let me share this to me. Share this to me. Um, Tonight I want to talk about how to end the gender war that's going on in this world, this day and age, um, between men and women. Um, you know, God never created um, men and women to be at war with each other. We was created by God to, you know, come together. You know, but now we live in a time where, you know, that how you doing, Angelina? That men and women are, at war with each other. You know, and long as men and women continue to be at war with each other, it's going to be a lot of, single people not getting married. And the thing about it is, we are at war with each other. I'm gonna start looking up in a little bit. If I look down, it's because I wrote some of this stuff down. I'm not like a prude. Sometimes I come across the top, but sometimes I write stuff down so I can remember what to talk about. Um, the funny thing about it is we at war with each other, but we still having babies though. Men and women are still having babies, and we don't like each other. You know, and and the more we do that, the more we're gonna repeat the cycle of single parent homes. You know, um, God never intended for it to be single parent homes. But the way God wanted it to be is a man and a woman in a house. The man is the leader, provider, and protector, and the woman is the nurturer of the home. That's the way God always wanted. You know, but and when you have a lot of single parent homes, and research have said this, we have a lot of homes where the father not in the home. Um, the child is more likely, if she a female, to grow up, and get pregnant, teenage pregnancy. is at a higher risk. A higher risk for a male child to go to jail or to act out in school. Because the male was not in the home, and the majority of home is pretty much single mothers. You know, in the home. In this generation, you know, children are not being raised by both parents. And the mother has to work and take care of the kids on her own. She may have 3 or 4 kids, so she don't really have a lot of time to teach the kids, take care of the kids, because she got trying to do what the man's supposed to do, you know, and that's one of the problems that we have. We don't like each other, but we keep having babies with each other. And the more and more we keep having babies with each other, the more, we keep, having single parent homes, So, I want to deal with that. Because there's a war going on between men and women. If you don't believe it, just watch a lot of social media. If you saying, Coach Ryle, I don't know what you're talking about. Ain't no war going on between men and women. It is. A lot of content out there teaching women that, men no good, men ain't all men this and that. A lot of content out there teaching men that women ain't no good. The first thing we gotta do if we wanna bring peace and end this gender war, so we can come together and procreate and be a family, is we gotta heal. People are taking out on the next person what their past situation was. A lot of people are moving to relationships, bringing in past hurt and past baggage, from their past relationship, and they never heal. Like they say, hurt people, hurt people, hurt people. And that's what we got going on in this generation. We got a bunch of people hurting, people because they never heal, Now, I will say this. We have more women. Women are more likely to heal and get coaching, get counseling after a breakup than men, But we still have some women that not doing the work as well. But it's just how men are. We just stubborn. When women get hurt, they tend to want to get closure. They want to figure out what went wrong. When men get hurt, we just want to, move on. Try to forget about it, but we don't forget about it. But we'll move on, and we become bitter against women. And we'll take our frustration out on the next woman. And some women doing the same thing as well. But I think men do it the most, because once a man, one thing about us men, we can love hard. We can love hard. Men can love hard, and but once we get hurt, it's kind of hard for us, to recover and bounce back. Because I guess how we was made as men. For an example, I had a coworker. An ex-coworker said that he would never trust another woman again. He would never get married again. And I said, why? And he said because his wife cheated on him, and he worked hard, paid all the bills and everything, and she cheated on him. And he was a Jamaican dude. He said, I don't trust no woman but my mother. No woman but my mother. I said, yeah, I know, never get married again, man. So I said, you don't never want to even consider getting married. You just tore it up. I'm not never getting married again. And he probably right. He probably won't. It's still possible if he meet the right one. But once a man get hurt like that, it's kind of hard for Again, we got too much pride to get coaching and get therapy. And I'm talking about the majority of men, and not talking about all men. Some exceptions, yes. You may know some men that do, you know, um, get coaching and everything, but that is not every man. That's not every man. Most men don't. And I remember in my past relationship, um, when we had problems, my ex would say, we need to get counseling. We need to get counseling. And I was like, no, I don't want no counseling. I don't need nobody to tell me how to run my relationship. I'm a man. I know how to do my own. Like I know how to run my house. Why I gotta pay somebody to tell me how to run my house? I was the same way, at one point. That is how a lot of men is, stubborn, stiff necked, So once a man get hurt, some men, but it's hard for a man to trust again. We can still trust. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard. And I think women on the other hand is more likely to, forgive, and men, we don't forgive as fast as women. We don't forgive as fast as women. So the first thing we got to do is we got to heal. Every time if you get out of a bad relationship, you need to get some kind of counseling or some type of coaching. Some type of healing need to take place before you get back into the next relationship. It was a saying that says, to get over a man is to get up on another man, and that's one of the dumbest relationship advice people can give women. Because she gonna end up under the same type of man, and she gonna keep repeating the cycle. So the first thing we got to do to heal this gender war is we got to heal. It's too much people hurt, and they carrying all this hurt around, and just we don't trust each other no more, men and women. Number two, next thing we gotta do, we gotta learn how to be cordial with one another, man. Men and women are not even cordial with one another. And and I'm not putting it all on women because I'm sure men the same way. But I can just share with you my experience with some women at times, And I'm not saying all women are like this, but I talked about it I think last week when I was in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was over the road driving trucks, whatever. And I started in Jacksonville, Florida, take a 10-hour break, and I went to Tropical Smoothie, and I told the story that it was two young ladies in front of me, and there was a young lady that was serving the smoothies. So, I noticed she was very cordial and friendly with the girls. The girl that was serving the two ladies, very friendly, cordial. They were laughing and all that kind of stuff. So they, the girls went and sat down after they gave their order. So when the girl fixed their order, she walked over to the table and gave them their order, and with a smile, laughing and joking with each other. Thank you, girl, no problem, girl, huh? Bye, stuff like that. I'm trying not to imitate women too much because some women get get upset when I imitate women. But so I just do it for fun, man. Entertainment. So I apologize because somebody said in the comment on my last live, how you got character, but you making fun on women. Just to, I'm just trying to make people laugh sometimes. But so when I got to the counter, she Still got to take your order. Her whole demeanor changed. She wasn't smiling and laughing at me. So I gave her my order, and I went and sat down at the table, thinking that she gonna bring my smoothie to me. And she just throw the smoothie on the counter and just say "Rod," and walked away and started doing other stuff. So I'm like, wow, I felt offended. I felt offended. I'm like, man. Then I said to myself, do women really like men? I mean, and again, I know it go both ways. I know some of y'all have some bad experience with men. I'm not putting it all on women, but I'm just sharing my experience at times. With women. So I felt like, wow. I wanted the same treatment. And I wasn't gonna try to holler at her nothing like that. I just like to be cordial. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. Smile and keep walking away. Just keep going. Now if a man want to holler, whatever, if I want to holler, I shoot my shot. If she's not interested, she let me down nicely with a smile. Whatever she got to say, I'm not interested. Whatever reason why, and be cool. Now some men, they get offended and they can't handle rejection when a woman choose not to, reciprocate their pursuit. They get offended and they call a woman out their name, stuff like that, and that's wrong. I don't do that. If I approach a woman and she let me down the right way with a nice smile, no thank you, but thank you so much, but I'm not dating right now, or whatever she say. I got somebody, whatever she come up with. I'm gonna say, just say she say, well, right now, I'm with somebody right now. I won't get mad. I will say, well, I wish you the best, and then I hope you treat you like a queen, cause you deserve it. I'll say something like that. Oh, thank you. Then I just walk away, cause I realize that's not my woman. But a lot of men, they get crazy when the woman rejects them, even in a nice way. Even in a nice way. And that right there, that's wrong. That's wrong. A man should never get mad because a woman don't want to date him or see interest in him the same way. Women have the right to decline if they want to. Um, but we have to at least be cordial with one another, man. We can't even look at each other and say hi and speak to each other. We walk around, men and women walk around all day, like we don't even see each other. And if we can't at least be nice to each other and be cordial with one another, how can we, date and get married and build families? You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing that we have to get to is like, at least work on being nice. Being nice, and, and being friendly. Number three, morals. You need to get back to having morals and teaching kids how to have morals. And I think that's where it comes from. That we're not cordial with one another. We mean with men and women. Because I say it ain't just talking about the women. Men do things to women too. Because we're not raised to have morals no more. We live in an immoral society, and and it starts with home training. It starts with how you was raised. For an example, yesterday I was inside Wawa. Wawa is a gas station. If you're not from Florida, I don't think they all over, but they mainly in Florida. It's like a gas station where you can order food, order all types of food, pizza, burgers, wraps, and they serve breakfast and everything. So I went to Wawa, and I'm very observant, And this lady was there, and she had a daughter, and then her daughter running all over the store. And I'm saying to myself, this child had no home training. Like the mama ain't saying nothing. And then I went over to fix my drink, and the little girl say, Mommy, get over here now. And her silly tail went over there like she the child. And I said, what in the world? I said, boy, look at here. That couldn't be me. Back in my day, if I said, Mommy, get over here now, my mama would come up to me, shut your mouth. Jack me up, man. I'll knock your teeth out your mouth. Do it again, here. Push me away. I start crying. Shut up! You couldn't even cry. We couldn't even cry. Shut up! You know. Now some of y'all might say that's a little bit too overboard, you know, but we had respect, you know, for elders. We was more nice back in those days. You know, I mean, the little girl, she ran into me, boom, and didn't say excuse me. She was running in the store. She ran right into me, almost knocked me down, boom. Didn't even say excuse me. I'm not mad at the little girl. I didn't, because I understand she's a child. She about maybe 6, 7 years old. But her mama sitting right there, she ain't saying that. You know, an adult person say, hey, listen, say sorry to that man. You bumped into him. Tell him excuse me and sorry. She didn't even tell the child to apologize or nothing like that. So I said to myself, well, when that girl get big, she gonna run over her. And this is why kids are killing their parents. Teenagers taking their parents' life and running their parents because we don't teach kids morals no more. You know, we taught to respect elders back in my day. You couldn't talk to an older person in the kind of way. You know, even if grown folks in the room and they talking, no kids can't be in the same room with grown people back in my day. That's how they were. They were real, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, some people might say, well, that's too overboard, but we didn't do the stuff we did now. We had more morals back then. We had more respect for one another back then. You know, things weren't perfect. No, we weren't perfect. You know, it still was crime, but you didn't see a lot of stuff that going on now back then. You know, because we was raised a certain way. But now in this generation, and that's the problem, we're never going to be able to come together and have healthy relationships between men and women if we don't even have morals, if we don't even have integrity. How can we date and choose the right person to get married if nobody have morals? Nobody was taught how to be honest, how to respect one another. You know, my thing is men and women are respect each other. You know, it should be mutual in a relationship. You know, I don't believe in a man calling a woman on her name, a man cursing at a woman, verbally abusive to a woman, and I don't believe a woman should do that to the man. You know, and one thing about me, you know, I'm big on respect. You know, I love a woman. You know, when I love a woman, you know, I love hard. You know, I'm gonna respect her to the utmost. I mean, I'm not gonna be perfect, but you know, I don't remember never one time calling a woman out her name that I've been with in a relationship with. You know, I don't remember me never doing that. You know, I always had at least had that respect for, you know, women. You know, and that's how it should be. Even if we have an argument and disagreement, so I'm saying we gotta learn how to disagree and don't, you know, get offended by it or don't get upset because we don't agree on everything as men and women. You know, that's the thing I was saying today, you know, like some people, you know, you say one thing in a video they don't like, they get triggered and come in the comments, you know, being triggered over one thing. But see, a emotionally intelligent person understand, well, if I'm watching somebody on YouTube They're not gonna say everything I want them to say. They're gonna say some stuff I'm gonna disagree with. But I'm not gonna always comment my opinion on it because that's his truth, that's his channel, that's how he feel. That's the way I handle stuff when people be on social media and I watch people content. A lot of stuff I don't agree with it, you know. But I don't go on nobody's platform telling them they wrong my opinion because I'm emotionally intelligent enough to know that, that's their channel and that's how they feel. And if I don't like it, I'm not gonna watch it. You know what I'm saying? My point is saying is if you cannot watch something on social media, and it goes for men and women, and disagree and not get offended by what somebody said, you're gonna do the same thing in a relationship. If I type of man, they get offended over somebody's video and come in the comment, triggered because somebody said something that I don't agree with. I'm gonna do the same thing when I get a girlfriend or a wife. So she says something I don't like, I'm gonna get triggered. Then she gonna snap back at me, and then we arguing, we fighting against each other, and then that could ruin a relationship. That could ruin the marriage. You know what I'm saying? It all come by having morals, and that's one thing a lot of people are lacking in this generation is morals. We live in an immoral society, and if we would just get back to having morals, more people would be getting married. Men and women, we would coming together, and getting married. Because being faithful, it starts with morals. Honesty, respect, loyalty, that starts with morals. If these are moral acts. If a person don't have morals, they you can't trust them. You can't trust them. Number four, we need to, guard our hearts from social media. And as soon as I got all that lie, we need to guard our heart from social media. We got to realize that everything on social media is not good. The majority of stuff on social media is not good. Now, I watch a lot of content. I can watch negative content, right? But I don't let it affect me, because of I'm like this right here. Once my mind is set on my morals, my values, where I come from, how I was raised, nobody can ever change that. For an example, I know with all my heart that a man's supposed to lead and provide and protect a woman. Period. Can nobody tell me on no video about women should be doing this here and going half on dates and all this stuff here? That I'm never gonna get with this stuff. But everybody not like me. Some people, the majority of people in this world, they like to be like everybody. They're not leaders, they're followers. They like to be with the trends. They like to do what everybody else doing. This is one thing I do about men and women. Every trend that come out, especially us black folk, we the worst ones. Every trend that come out, we do it because everybody else doing it. I'm a strong believer in men should not be wearing no pocketbooks. No such thing as no man bag and all that. I don't believe in that. But you got men doing that. To me, that's feminine. That don't look right. And I don't understand why would a woman date a man that dress like that. I put it on Facebook, the picture of Coach Prime's son. Coach Prime's son, now he plays football, he making millions of dollars in college. Now all of a sudden now he dressing like, rich men supposed to dress. With a purse around his thing, all the clothes look a little feminine. So I put that on Facebook. Would you date this type of man, ladies? And most ladies said no, and they was pretty much like the older, like around my age, 40s, 30s, late 30s. You know, they said no, I won't do that. But here come a little young girl. Here come a little young girl. He cute. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I would date him. He cute. And all these young girls think about is a man being cute. And you mean to tell me you would go out on a date with a man and both of y'all got on pocketbooks? You at the table, you got your pocketbook, and he at the table with his pocketbook. That don't look right. That look normal to y'all, but because it's a trend, you know what I'm saying? Everybody doing it. It's a trend. Everybody do it. And what the young girl said, you know, well, it's a style now. Like me, I don't care what no style is. In my area, men didn't wear pocketbooks. So to me, I don't care who doing it. I don't care who said it's right. I'm not wearing it. And I'm going to always kick against that. Because I don't let social media, you know what I'm saying, influence me to go against my morals and my values. You know, I was raised in a Christian home, and, you know, I'm going to be real with y'all, you know. Men, that homosexual lifestyle, that was a big thing. Like, no, you couldn't be that way in my parents' house. You know, how I was raised, if you want to like men, get your own place, pay your own rent. That's how I was raised. If you're a boy, you want to like boys, pay your own rent, pay your own light bill, buy your own food, buy your own clothes. But as for me and my house, we're gonna serve the Lord. So that stuck with me all my life. And I'm not gonna let social media change my perspective of how things supposed to be. But social media is ruining society. Because anybody can get on social media and say something stupid and they go viral and everybody following it. Everybody following it. You know, I posted one time on Facebook. Now some of y'all finna get triggered about it here. You know, people around here talking about the universe. You know, and I say my help don't come from the universe. My help come from God. What David said in Psalm 121, I believe. Here goes somebody. Well, you know, nowadays people say universe, they talking about the God they serve, they spiritual and all that kind of stuff here. Where that come from? That come from social media. Because I never heard anything about the universe until social media came out. When I was coming up as a young boy, I never heard anybody say anything about the universe being a God. But when somebody tweeted one day on Twitter, if you do something and give it out, the universe is going to bring it back to you. Somebody said it on Instagram. Now all the stuff started going viral. Now, folks who were raised in the church, in the Christian background, now y'all holler about universe. Social media is messing things up, man. Social media is the reason why, and that's why now you got kids committing suicide because of the pressure of social media. Now you got teenagers, you know, taking their life because of the pressure of the stuff on social media. You know, social media is ruining it between men and women. Social media is the reason why we have these gender wars, because you got angry, bitter, feminine men who hate women, got all these red pill stuff, all these movements, and all they do is put down women. And I said it once, but I'm saying it again. Any man who hate women is not a masculine man. He like men. He like men. Any man who don't like women, I don't care what my ex did to me. I don't care. I can have 10 exes that did me wrong. I'ma always love me a woman. I don't care how many exes do me wrong. I'm not gonna stop loving women. I'm not gonna hate women, no matter what my ex has done to me. But a lot of men, they get hurt. They start these podcasts, and all they do is make content, put down women. And guess what? These young boys watching this mess. These young boys do not have a father figure in their life in this generation. Most of them don't. So all they see all day long is on Instagram, women this here, women that right there. Women ain't no good. You can't trust women. They're not faithful. They all of them cheat. All women cheat. Stuff like that. These young boys gonna grow up not knowing how to respect women and value women because this is what they were raised. That's what raised them. Same thing, vice versa with young girls. If they keep hearing all this stuff, the new stuff coming out. Men ain't no good. Men do this here. Men do that. Whatever. They gonna because you got some women, teaching women how to get men for their money. And these young girls, they fall in that mess. And I talked about it, I think a couple of days ago, or maybe last week, about single women, online, telling women how to get a man with a bag. That's why now you see 19-year-olds want a rich man with a bag. That's why now you see a 20-something-year-old girl talking about she an entrepreneur. She got 3 or 4 businesses. They be lying. Cause why? This is what they see on Instagram. Now everybody that's young pretty much want to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody, but the most majority of young people want to. They claim to be entrepreneurs. At 20-something years old, they entrepreneurs. Like for an example, I watch a lot of trucking videos. So I watching this young lady, 24 years old, driving a truck, a company driver, talking about she an entrepreneur. She owned 2 businesses. You can't be a company driver, driving trucks over the road, and be an entrepreneur. You ain't gonna have no time to run no businesses. But this is what's popular now. This is the trend. Be an entrepreneur. Get that bag. Get in that bag. And folks get on Instagram. They get on TikTok. They have fun just be on their capping. I'm making all this money. I'm making all this money. So them people broke butt in this gutter. So we see all this stuff, and a lot of these young folks see the stuff their entire life. That's all they know. Then when an OG like me get on here and tell a woman, you want you a man, a tough man, a man that's tougher than nails. You want you a man that know how to get dirty, know how to use his hands. They get offended. You need to teach. You need to teach yourself how to have hygiene and teach men how to have hygiene and all that here. And teach men how to take care of their skin, their nails, And I know this man on YouTube, and he teach young boys while they're young, how to take care of their skin, their nails, and they impressed with that. They impressed with that. Some women are, and I'm triggered by that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm upset by that. This is why I keep talking about it, because it just don't make no sense. Women are impressed by another man telling men how to look beautiful. But you ask that same man how to treat a woman, he you know what I'm saying? And that man who teaching young boys how to look pretty, how to have nails and stuff like that, and pretty skin, you ask every woman he dated, they'll tell you that boy, that was a mess. We need to teach men real manhood, not femininity. And that's the problem with a lot of men now. We got a world full of feminine men. Feminine men. Whenever a man don't know how to lead, he feminine. Whenever a man don't know his role as a man, is to lead. He feminine. Whenever a man is with a woman and the woman gotta ask him, feminine. Like I said on the video I did today, the man with a woman, and he don't even got $100 in his account to invest into his girlfriend YouTube channel. Oh, I'm doing it on Friday. You know, he said he gonna do it on Friday because that way he get paid on Friday. He had the money when she asked. And if Friday came, he still didn't do it. This is what we gotta understand. We our priorities is gone away. We it's ruining men and women. The stuff we see on social media. How about men getting on social media and teaching young boys how to be faithful and how to have integrity with their woman, how to spend time with their woman? How about teaching young boys how to date a woman and wait for her to decide whether or not when she want to give you her body? Because nowadays, the average man, the average boy, as soon as a woman ain't ready to sleep with them, they go. They leave them alone. They leave them alone. They want to go on one date, and that's the girl, come to my place. But y'all impressed about men teaching young boys how to look pretty, how to be feminine. Not y'all, but some women are impressed by a man teaching young boy how to be feminine, and these boys don't know how to respect a woman. Because that's disrespectful. If you date a woman and you talking about coming to my place on the first date, that's disrespectful. But this is what these men and little boys doing. This is what they doing. And some people want me to teach femininity, man. And a lot of young girls can't get it. Men are not made to be pretty for women. So I'm sorry to tell you that. Men's skin don't supposed to be pretty for no woman. Now, some men may have pretty skin because a lot of times what you eat make your skin pretty. It's not always you in the mirror putting all stuff on. You know, if a man eat a pretty healthy diet full of greens and drinking a lot of water, his skin gonna be looking good regardless. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. You know what I'm saying? It's all what a brother eat. You know, it's not always about a man having a skin routine. Because really the way God set it up, if you eat right, your skin gonna glow and look pretty, male or female. You really don't have to get all these products and put on your skin and have a skin routine. See, this is what a lot of women don't understand. But see, women see on social media beauty channels for women, stuff like that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But now they want men to be like that. But my thing is, let's teach integrity. Let's teach men how to cut grass. Let's teach men how to get a weed eater and weed eat some grass. Cause you got some men right now. They can be with a girl. They can be in a relationship with a girl, and they will not cut that girl grass, their girlfriend grass. Cause they too pretty. Cause they feminine. Cause you know why? If a young boy was raised all day long, these boys be on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff here, they not gonna know how to get no lawnmower cut. They're not gonna do that. When they get to a relationship, they're gonna be like, man, ain't finna go out in the hot sun and do all that there. You see what I'm saying? This is the problem that we have, and this is what is separating men and women. You know, and like I said earlier today, I'm gonna say it again. A lot of women think they want that pretty boy stuff, that pretty skin, all they hear. You don't want that. Trust me. It look good. It look appealing, but I'm trying to tell you, after a while, as a woman, you're going to lose respect for that man. Because whenever a man don't treat you right, like I was saying in the video I did today, you're going to say, you know what? That don't mean nothing to me no more. I want somebody that know how to lead. Cause that's how women are wired. You know what I'm saying? That's how, women are wired to fall in love with a man that knows how to lead. But social media is to mess things up. My opinion, when social media came out, things was already, as far as the families, was already getting bad. But when social media came out, it got worse. It got worse. As far as relationships, as far as people getting married. Because you got toxic people online saying silly stuff and people just run with it. You got toxic people online, telling women, putting down women who leave men for cheating. Calling women, you stupid hoes, y'all. Yeah. Ain't no man perfect. A man being a man. A man gonna be a man. All this stuff is on social media, going viral. Men not meant to be monogamy. They meant to be polygamy. God ain't made men to be in monogamy with no one woman. They meant to be polygamy. So guess what? If these young folk hearing this all the time, they're gonna grow up with that mindset. How a person was raised, morals, that's gonna determine how they be as an adult. Even in the Bible, say what? Train up a child in the way it should go. When they get old, we want to depart from them. Even in the Bible. So we gotta guard what we watch on social media. We gotta guard a lot of that stuff. Half of the stuff on social media is just not good for us. It's just ruining society. Number 5, we gotta stop judging people based upon our past experiences. For an example, if I dated one woman that had kids and she had baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, excuse me. Now I'm mad at every woman that had kids. Now I'm not gonna date nobody with kids no more. Then women do the same thing. A woman may have one experience with a man who had kids and had baby mama drama. Then now I'm not dating. This is what keeping us single, men and women. We overlook a good person because of what our ex did to us. We overlook a good person because they got 2 or 3 kids and they ain't got no baby mama or baby daddy drama. They actually got a good relationship between they ex, they child, or they child parent, whatever, and they cordial with one another. But we are overlook a good person. Both of us, men and women, doing it here. We live in a time now where there's not many good people, period, like with morals and values. So when you find that, hold on to that. Hold on to that. We live in a time now, it's not just a shortage of good men, it's a shortage of good people. It's a shortage of good people. You see what I'm saying? So, we have to stop saying, I won't date nobody else because the person I dated the last time did this to me. So all women do this. All men do that. All men that have kids got baby mama drama. All men. And then this is stuff that is keeping us single because we too picky. Men and women. We too picky, We want that perfect person. And that perfect person don't exist because we're not even perfect. We're not even perfect. Nobody's perfect. See what I'm saying? So, we got to stop judging people based upon our past experience. Because we can overlook a good person. Not telling even that Christian, God going to send me a husband and God going to send me a wife. Well, how about that person he sent you going to have kids? And he wants you to be with that person for a certain purpose. I'm just saying, you like, God send somebody. Well, God might say, well, you don't want nobody with kids. You got kids. The man I have for you, or the woman I have for you, they got at least 2 kids. But you don't want to date them though. You see what I'm saying? You never know what you're missing out upon until you try. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, you could say I prefer to date nobody without kids or whatever, but if I had to, I will, but I prefer not. Nothing wrong with that. But totally not giving nobody else a chance because your past experience with somebody else, that's gonna be keeping both men and women single. Because not just women being single, now men single too. So it just ain't just women. You know what I'm saying? Um, and since we have to bring back the old school ways. It was talking about earlier, the old school ways, Um, when we started coming against how the old school ways was, things start getting, worse. For an example, like I said, back in the day, older women, they was turned on by men who worked. If that man had a job, that's all that mattered. Our people, black folk, is all that mattered if that man had a job. If that man had a job, he gonna get him a wife, he gonna get him a girlfriend. I don't care if he was a short man. If he know how to work, but that's what women was impressed by. That was the main thing women was impressed by. If a man was sorry and lazy, he didn't get no banana pudding. But then by the old school women, like you're not gonna be laid up with them, and we ain't paying no bills. They don't play that. Y'all young women, y'all need to talk to some of the older. You got an old grandma or auntie, somebody in your family, older person. Talk to them and tell them what you want in the man. You tell them you want a pretty man. All they hear, they're gonna school you. Baby, ain't nothing, all that look stuff, girl. You need you a man that know how to work. You see what I'm saying? And men, we have to realize, that our role is to provide and protect. And not only provide and protect, but, spend time with our woman. You know what I'm saying? It's other ways to make love to the woman other than the bedroom. Just by, like I was talking about earlier in my video earlier today, leading. You know what I'm saying? And when a man is with a woman, that woman shouldn't have to ask. She can just bring something up in conversation about what she need. If you don't say, I got it, baby, for an example, just say a woman, she finna get ready to move. Y'all just having a conversation hypothetically, yeah, I'm gonna move out to another place. Oh yeah? Yeah. So when you gonna move? Next month, March. Oh, okay. So let me know. A man gonna say, a real man, a good man, a quality man, a provider type man. Okay, let me know when you gonna do it so I can get the U-Haul for you. I can help you move. He gonna help you move. He gonna actually get a U-Haul truck for you, and he gonna help. He don't want you trying to worry about you moving heavy furniture. Who you gonna get to come over? No, those were the old school ways. Nowadays, child, a woman got an accent, man. Can you help me move? Yeah, I'll be over. When you gonna do it? By March 1st. Child, March 1st. The man ain't nowhere to be found. A lot of brothers ain't like that right there. Some brothers still live. And one of my followers, one of my sisters, she left a comment, and she been welcoming me for a while, and she was saying, how her man treat her, like I was saying on my video. That's how it went, and they plan on getting married, and that's what I'm trying to, tell y'all. We got to get back to the old school ways. Back in the older days, men love to provide for women. They love to protect women. But now and I read one comment today, and she said I was dating this guy, And he said, I said, I was asking the question like, if I be on the road and have a flat tire, what would you do? And she said the guy said he'll call AAA. When I read that comment, I said, what? I said, God, homeboy said he'll call AAA. That's your girl. Your girl on the side of the road broke down, and you gonna call another man to come and help her? Come on now. You know how long it's gonna take AAA to get to that woman? Maybe about 2 hours, probably longer than that. She on the side of the road. She on the side of the dangerous highway for 2 hours. Traffic round by. And today people are so rude because when somebody on the side of the road broken down with their hazard lights on, you supposed to go in the other lane. But they would ride right by you going 100 miles per hour. Boom. Trucks would ride right by cars on the side of the road, broken down, going about 70 miles per hour. Boom. All that wind from that truck and that pressure from that truck shaking the other people. I like, rude, man. It ain't safe for a woman to be on the side of the road waiting on AAA. They were trying to tell y'all, like, men know how to change tires back in the old days, Now, these men don't even know how to change the car tire. And one time, when I was with my ex, we came back from out of town, and I had a flat tire in my SUV. And when I was jacking my truck up, the jack broke or something. Something broke on the jack, and the truck, the back of the truck fell on the ground. The whole truck fell on the ground. So we had to call, it wasn't AAA, but we had to call roadside service. It took them about 2 hours. And trucks out there riding, vroom, vroom. Some of them got over, but a lot of them trucks didn't even get over. Sitting there blowing all that wind, all that pressure on, you see, it's dangerous. And, I was concerned about, at the time, my family. My son, he was about like 2 years old. So I told, my ex, my girl, like, make sure he don't run in that road. Hold him. See what I'm saying? That's dangerous to be on the side of the road waiting on AAA. But you're a single woman, you in a relationship with a man, and you got about 2 or 3 kids, and y'all on the side of the road, and man said you gonna call AAA. And homegirl said right then and there, she knew he wasn't gonna be the one for her, and she started dealing with him. Absolutely right. Cause real men gonna be like, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. Even if I can't change no tire, which I can, but I would say, listen, I can't change the tire. I never was taught, but I apologize about that. But I'ma come and get you, and then we'll have to call a tow truck, whatever, or somebody who can change the tire, AAA, whatever. But at least, if I couldn't change the tire, the type of man that I am, at least I would go see about her. At least she won't be out there by herself on a dangerous highway. At least that. And if I do call the tow truck people or AAA, if she got to pay a fee, I'm gonna pay that fee. At least I'm gonna do that if I couldn't change the tire. But me, I'm not gonna change the tire. But if I didn't, if I'm with my girlfriend, if we're in a relationship and she on the side of the road, I'm gonna call AAA and they'll go see about her. Not concerned about her safety. This is how a lot of these men is. We gotta go back to the old school ways. We got, man, boy, I tell you, man, it just. Not really stuff like that right there. It really bothers me, And women be like, "Oh, we tell women to settle." Women settle for men like that all the time without me even telling them. Not all women, but a lot of women, they settle for men like that all the time. Because when you choose a man because he's attractive, but he don't help you out, he don't do nothing for you, other than look good, you settling it right there. He meet all your preferences. You settling it right there. You know what I'm saying? Settling is you accepting something that you don't deserve. That's settling. You see what I'm saying? But you know, we gotta get back to the old school ways, man. We gotta. I think I said that one already. We gotta. Yeah, I said that one already. You know, and I'm gonna say the last thing is we have to bring back the fear of God, man. We don't have no fear of God in this generation no more. When you don't have no fear of God, when you're not God conscious, we got a lot of people just not even God conscious. And when you don't have no fear of God, the whole world, and the whole country is gonna be in chaos. And the reason why a lot of our kids right now are not safe in school. Anybody right now that have children can get a phone call and say your child was shot and killed today at school. People are getting guns and going and killing, shooting up innocent kids in elementary school, middle school, high school. People are going in Walmart, shooting up people in Walmart. You know why? Because we don't have the fear of God no more. We don't have the fear of God no more. The fear of God is gone. You know, and whenever you don't fear God, whenever people just do what they want to do, but God just sit back and just say, you know what? Devil take over. They don't want to serve me. They don't want to listen. Devil take over. The fear of God will fix all this stuff that's going on between men and women. If we fear God, we're going to respect one another. That's the icing on the cake right there. If a man fear God, he's gonna be faithful to his wife, to his girlfriend. If a man fear God, he's not gonna put his hands on them. Vice versa, if a woman fear God, she's not gonna cheat on her man. It's so many people, men and women, just don't have the fear of God, and they say they do. Oh, I'm God fearing. I want a God fearing person. But if you don't see fruits of a God fearing person, you see what I'm saying? Yesterday, last night I was watching the Kendra G show, and you know, and me, I'm not looking for nobody on there. I just watch just for, you know, they have something to do. I'm bored, and also to know what to talk about, what's going on, and do videos about some stuff I see on there. And I saw this lady on there, you know, nice looking lady, attractive, saying that she divorced and all this stuff here. She a good man looking for a good woman, looking for a good man, God friend, all that stuff there. You know, if you see the interview, you be like, wow, you know, man, she's a really good woman. Child, her husband found out she was on there, and he came on the show and exposed her. Say she not divorced yet. We still married. We don't get divorced. We having our first hearing in March and this and that. And she cheated on me and all that here. So I said to myself, like, you can't trust nobody these days. Nobody. I mean, if you would see that woman interview, you would think that she got all her stuff together where she talk about herself. You know, I'm a good woman, all that here. Man, we just live in a society where people don't have no fear of God no more. Just, you know, be dishonest. If a person don't fear God, they might would cheat. They probably would cheat. Probably would cheat. That's men and women. Cause I know women cheat too. You know, matter of fact, women cheat better than men. You know, a woman could be cheating on you and you would never know it. Cause trust me, it happened to me, and I never knew. I was getting. I had a feeling that she was, but I was like, nah, that's not her. I don't believe. I had a feeling that something was in my head, like, nah, I don't think she don't think she. But kind of find out I was getting cheated on. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. So women cheat too. you know, I ain't gonna say they cheat as much as men do, but you know, they cheat too. And once you have a world full of people who don't fear God, you're gonna have cheating, infidelity, you know, all this stuff is gonna ruin relationships and keep us fighting against one another. One thing I noticed about the young lady that I say I watched for 8 years, and somebody said, "What you know watching a lady for 8 years for?" That was said to me in the last video. Like, number one, I can watch what I want to watch. I'm a grown man. That's number one. Number two, I watch because I love the drama that she bring on now. Every time she go live, it's going to be some drama. That's why I watch. Entertainment. I'm just being real. You put all your business on there. You know, one time she went live while she on a date with a man, dating a man. Like, in my head, why would you go live on a date? Put the phone down, enjoy your date. This how woman she is. She put everything on social media, so I got the right to watch. I'm very nosy. I ain't gonna lie, I'm nosy. I be watching. I'm nosy. I love the gossip. I love the tea. I ain't gonna lie. God forgive me. I ain't perfect. So you put all your mess on her, I'm gonna watch. And you put on you dating the guy, y'all on a date together. And the guy said to the waitress, now he on a date with the girl here, the girl that go live on Facebook that I've been watching for 8 years. The same one I say teach women how to get a man with a bag, got a course on women how to get a bag, and she ain't got no man with a bag. The same one. She's on a date with the man, and the man said right in front of her to the waitress, she was the female waitress, "Excuse me, you mind if I buy you a drink?" And she ended the lie. She cut the lie right there. She ended the lie. So that's why I watch, because I know it's going to be some drama, something we talk about. Yeah, I've been watching for 8 years. My main point is, from bringing her up is, you know, in my spirit, you know, she angry and bitter at me because what she want don't exist. Or it's very, very rare that she would get that man. So now she mad at all men. And you know, so she post stuff, put it on a daily basis about men. Not some men, but men, like all men. And that stuff gets out there on social media, then it influence other women, other women. You know what? Yeah, she right. And like I said, men do the same thing too. You know, and this is where we have all these gender wars going on between one another. You know, another young lady, you know, beautiful young lady, you know, Princella, you know, all her life she been hurt by men. Her dad was abusive to her mom, and also abusive to her. So she had this abusive life. Men put guns on her, stuff like that. I get it, but now she putting out there, all men ain't no good. All men can't love women. All this stuff here. Women should not desire to get married because a man would never ever treat a woman right. And you know, pretty much, you know, her way of women being happy in companionship is women dating women, cause she date women. See what I'm saying? I'm like, hurt people out here is just online, and when a person is hurt and they had a lot of bad experience, if they don't heal, if they don't get therapy, they're gonna put everything out online about men, about women. And this because men do the same thing too. The red pill men, they the same way as this woman. You know, alpha men, all that stuff, they the same thing as this woman. You know, now this is where the gender wars come from. People like that, people like them. You know, who been hurt but not healing and just online spreading all this toxic stuff out there. And like people say, it's peeing in their pool. Well, that's probably why I pee in their pool, because you got a lot of people out there releasing toxic about the gender war, about certain genders. And I say, when is mess gonna stop? When is mess gonna stop? Now you got women telling other women how to, use the man for his money and all that kind of stuff going on. A lot of women won't even look at a man if he's not making, 6 figures, 100,000. Somebody come in the other day like, I don't know no woman that want a man that make 100,000, because the women in my family, if you just want a man to have a job, well, that's your family, sis. If you're watching the video, that's your family. If you see what's going on social media, a lot of women saying they won't date a man unless he make 100K. And now 100K is not enough. Now they're saying 250 is not enough. 500K not enough. They want it. So pretty much, a lot of women now, they want a man that make $1 million a year, 7 figures. You see what I'm saying? And so when men hear that, men, I'm gonna tell you how us men is. I'm not like this because I'm a mature man. But an immature man, he gonna have hatred towards women. And somebody did a video, and the title was "Why Men Are So Hostile Against Women." And what he said was true. A lot of it is on the men, but a lot of it is too. It's on these women on social media influencing women how to get a man with a bag. That stuff, make men mad. And I know how men are. Then now men like, man, ain't gonna never get married. All women are gold diggers, which is not true. All women are not gold diggers. But that's how a man think when a bunch of women online. I want him to date a man that go. It was a video about a man took a woman to a cheesecake factory or something like that. I didn't see the video, but I heard, and and it went viral, and women in the comment, oh, I want to go to no cheesecake factory and all that here. Ain't nothing wrong with that if you don't eat cheesecake factory. I get that, but thing about it is, when a lot of men saw that, a lot of men started having resentment toward women. Like me, I'm different. I don't care what I see on social media. I ain't gonna never resent all women. I'm just being real with y'all. I'm a man of God, but I'm heterosexual, and a woman is I'm just gonna be transparent with y'all. A woman is my weakness. Just being real. I'm living right, but it ain't easy. I was at the gym the other day on the treadmill. I happened to look up. This girl got on the treadmill right in front of me. Booty. I'm like, now in my head, I'm like, girl, why you came in front of me? You should have got on the other side of the gym. Golly, girl. I like what I saw. I ain't lying. Sexy on the treadmill. I love that booty. I'm just being real. I don't care what women do. I don't care what no video say about women. I'm gonna love me some women. I'm just being real with y'all. I'm always gonna love them, but every man not like me. Every man not like me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men are immature. So we have all this stuff going on. Women have these high requirements and silly preferences. And don't get me wrong, like us men, we want pretty women. That's most men like pretty women. I get that. But we are not as like picky as women. Like for an example, I heard a woman say her deal breaker is a man got to be tall, skinny with big ears. That's what I'm talking about. So now you're gonna choose to be single until you meet. Now, how many men really got big ears and they're skinny? See what I'm saying? And now you're gonna choose to be single and overlook a lot of men because you want a man with big ears. I'm like, what in the world? One lady. See, and that's why I watch Killer Show. I just be laughing. I want a man that's left-handed. Left-handed. Yeah, so he gotta be left-handed. That's a deal breaker, right? Yep. If he not left-handed, that's a deal breaker. I'm like, left. What in the world? Cause I did some study and research and I read some books and they say a man that left-handed know how to be demanding and all that here. I'm like, sis, you just read somebody's opinion. I'd be like, this is ridiculous, man. I said to myself, hey, I could go get me a passport. Just joking, I ain't gonna do that, but I'm just saying, like, if I do get one, it's gonna be because I want to travel out the country, not because I want to go, get a wife nowhere. But jokingly saying that, I'm like, dang, we gotta be left-handed, we gotta have big ears, gotta be skinny, we gotta have a skin routine. Man, just to get a girlfriend, man, I'm just being. That's how I was thinking. But stuff like that, and I'm saying all women like this, but you got a lot of percent of women are like that. They very superficial, and that right there turns a lot of men off. And a lot of men don't want to be bothered with they'll sleep with them now and continue to have babies. But as far as like marrying, a lot of men be like, man, I don't want that. I have talked to men say they never get married. Co-workers that I had in the past, man, I ain't never getting married, man. Why? Man, women want too much, man. They do, they all about the money, and they wrong. Cause I don't believe every woman is about a man money. But now a woman should be somewhat about money. If a man ain't got himself together financially, then he you see what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, when a lot of men hear that, even men who do have money, even rich men that have that money that women say they want, a rich man, when he hears stuff like that, he's gonna use his money and just dog women out. Cause that make all men mad. And that's why Kevin Samuels online, I'm not saying that he was right, but that's why he was online, coming out with stuff that he was coming out with. You know what I'm saying? So a mature woman, and this is how I feel. It really doesn't matter the amount a man make, but as long as that man is established, like I would say, he's established. He got a career, not just a gig. He got a job. He been on a job for X amount of years. He got a career, and he's established. Established don't mean you gotta make 6-7 figures. That don't mean you're established because you're making that kind of money. You see what I'm saying? And he'll establish, yeah, you're not selling it. You're not selling it. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like as long as a man can pay his own bills, take care of his bill, and he can afford to offer to a woman, his girlfriend, like, I don't think a man is obligated to pay all his girlfriend bills because they're not married. They're not one. He's not responsible for that. But he should be able to offer to help that woman out some kind of way financially, and be able to pay his bills. If he can't do that, then yeah, different story. As long as the man able to pay his bills without asking you for nothing, and then we all do stuff together, he paying the majority of the time, I won't say all the time, some men might want you to pay sometime, I don't know. But for me, I'm different. I probably pay the majority, I see myself paying. I don't like for women to pay for me. It's just me, She gonna have to really like force herself to pay for me. That's just me. I'm big on that. But every man different. But as long as he, what I'm saying, at least the majority of the time he paying. Y'all go on trips together, he paying for the majority of the trip. You shouldn't be paying more than him. Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He not asking for no money. And he got character. Give that brother a chance. You know what I'm saying? Now, I do believe this right here. If a man, I think I see this on Facebook, if a man working at the warehouse, he making $20 an hour, that's what $800 a week, you know. So that's probably about like 30 something, 40 something thousand, something like that. A year. Let me see, gonna do the math on my calculator. Man, they got all these ads. I just wanna do. Not now, man. What in the world? Boy, technology, boy. You can't even just go on your iPad and just use the calculator and just, that's it. They got all this stuff popping up. Oh my God. 800 times. What do you mean? So I was right about 41,000 a year. So if that man happy at his job, and this is what I told men on Facebook. Okay, cool. Find your woman that you can afford to date. A lot of men try to date outside their range, and I've seen men do this. I have coached women. The woman making $150,000 a year, and he making $40,000 a year at the warehouse, trying to date a woman that make that kind of money. Sir, that woman is outside your range. She need a man close to her or above her. I get that part there now. If a woman is successful, I get that. I won't recommend a woman date a man making 41,000 and she making 150,000 or 100,000. That's a too big of a gap. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? But my advice to men is don't date a woman. I don't care how good she look. I don't care how fine she is. If you a woman that's successful, you make it, and you don't want to have no drive, no ambition. You want to retire at the warehouse on the forklift. Cool. You ain't a bad man. Find you a woman that you can afford. There's some women out there that you can bring your 41,000 a year, and you know what I'm saying. Depends on where y'all live at, but if you live in South Florida with 41,000 a year, boy, you're gonna be homeless unless you're gonna be living in a doggone shack for 41,000 a year. So it all depends on where you live. I'm just saying, maybe Georgia, Alabama, you can get away with that in certain areas, and live okay with the girl. But I believe a man should be able to afford that woman. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of women take me the wrong way, but a lot of women, when I say don't judge a man by his income, by the amount, but by his character, a lot of women assume that I'm telling women to settle for broke men. A man ain't got no business date nobody if he ain't got no money, if he not established, A younger dude, 20-something years old, 23, 24, okay, that's different. As long as he got a job, he got a drive, he working, he, towards something. But if a man, 40-something years old, 30, at least late 30s, and talking about I'm working toward this here and still ain't got nothing. You see what I'm saying? That's different. So when it comes to stuff like that right there, I be trying to tell women when men start hearing stuff like that, yes, not about this amount that he make, as long as he can, take care of his own bills, and you gotta help him out, and then he gonna pay, help me out some kind of way. We go on dates, he paying or whatever. Cool, something like that. That's what real men want to hear. That's what men want to hear. Even if that man got money. This what men like to hear. Stuff like that right there. You know what I'm saying? But, we got all this stuff going on, all the negative influence. Social media is one of the main reasons why we have so many gender wars. So why we have gender wars against men and women. You know, we fighting against each other. Social media is that social media is a good thing, you know, because it allows you to, you know what I'm saying, help people if you got the right intention. But the majority of people on social media is just on there, you know, for clout. You know, they're not on there for calling it a purpose. And you know, we follow this stuff. Well, I don't follow everything on social media. You know, one thing about me, I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. If I know something's not right, I'm not doing it. You know, for example, you know, I don't like wearing the skinny jeans. I don't like wearing skinny jeans. Nothing wrong with a man doing that. I'm not saying he's funny, but to me, I'm not wearing that because again, my era when we was raised, we didn't dress like that. In my era, if you come to school with skinny tight jeans on like that, you're gonna get picked on. I'm gonna crack on you. I'm gonna crack on you. And I cracked on a boy so hard one time. Boy, I cracked this boy so hard in school one time. By 10 years later, he saw me at the store. After we graduated from high school, he was mad at me. He came up to me and said, "Are you Roger Grayson?" I was like, "Yeah." I ain't know he was at first. They said, "My name is so and so, man." I started like smiling. I said, "Oh, I know he is now." Man, Roger, man, I should go on your job, man. You picked at me real hard in school. You made me feel real bad, man. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man. I was just a teenager, man. I didn't know. I mean, you know, just clowning, cuz, chill. He wouldn't knock me in my face right then, you know. But good that he caught me on a good day, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't, you know, in a bad mood. He probably got slapped. But, you know, I'm happy in a good mood that day, you know. So I said, man, I'm sorry, man. I apologize. But I'm just telling y'all like how I was brought up. Like we cracked on like people like boys with skinny tight stuff on. We cracked on that in my ear. But now everybody doing it. But guess what? I don't wear that because I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. I'm not gonna let social media or society tell me to dress like they here. And I feel like my mother, my body is telling me that a man shouldn't be dressing like that. My opinion. Not saying that everybody should think like me, but that's just me. I'm not wearing. I do not like that skinny look. No. I don't even like how I feel. I like tight stuff on my leg, man. No, man. I need some room. I want to breathe. I ain't trying to show no shape. Nah, I ain't. Women should be trying to show their shape. Ain't got nothing to show. But that's what everybody is into. Men, you know. And you know, it just social media. Social media. Everybody wanna be like what they see on social media. And social media have really, really played a part on gender wars and keeping men and women from getting together. Cause it's so many negative influence. It's more negative influence. And the way social media is set up, drama, they push that more than they push, you know, positive things. But if I start posting like drama stuff on my channel, stuff that's like drama, it's gonna go viral. Why you think Kevin Samuels went viral? Telling women you a B, calling them their name. That's what they like, you know. So my thoughts, my opinion, you know, I just wish one day that men and women could start with these gender wars, you know, come together, you know, start saying men ain't this, women ain't that. We all ain't it, tell the truth, because we all got flaws, we all got issues, and none one of us perfect. You know, all like it stink. You know what I'm saying? Men and women. But I just hope that one day we can come together and at least, like I said, at least start off being cordial with women. Men and women are not even friendly with each other. Not even friendly, you know. It just, It's sad, but like I said, my thoughts, my opinion. You know, I just wanted to get on here and share this with y'all. I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for joining in. That's why the world is in the condition that it's in now. If you turn away from God, He will turn away from you. Exactly. 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 You know, you turn away from God, you know, that's exactly what it is. You know, I'm going to watch this as soon as I get a chance. Oh, okay. And what I think how black men are telling each other not to date single moms when they are the ones who create single moms. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You know, a lot of men saying don't date single moms, you know, but they the one on top of a woman getting her pregnant, you know, getting her pregnant, and you know, and then you gonna look down, you know, you just as worse as a single mama, you know, so yeah, you know, it just yeah, you know, like I said, we gotta just come together and you know. Cause it's just it's crazy out here in these dating streets. It's hard. It's hard on men, hard on women too to find, you know. But I think it's much harder on women though, cause of the a lot of the men not really on that quality men level. You know, that's one of the main reasons too. But you know, I hope we can get together, y'all. I really do. But you know, hey, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. This is my thoughts, my opinion on it. You know, yeah. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Y'all stay blessed. God bless you.